Well, good afternoon one and all. We don't often see each other twice in one day. I was working on the mod muster that I published this morning when I discovered that Bethesda had released more creations on the Creation Club, but they only released 2 new things, which really isn't enough for me to make a video of my typical length. So instead of having a day dedicated to the Creation Club releases, I decided to give you 2 videos today, some mods, and then a quick update on the Creation Club. This video will be shorter than usual. In fact, it's so short we don't have time for the intro. Before we go any farther, I should mention that the Tunnel Snakes Rule Adventure is 25% off right now. That's not a whole lot, but for those of you who are waiting for a deal to grab it, well, now there's a deal. Also, Bethesda bundled the dogs from the last release with the modular backpack and the prototype Gauss rifle. The entire package is 700 credits. Considering each dog was 200 credits by itself, you are saving some money with this bundle, but only if you want all 3 items. But new with the Creation Club today that I want to talk about is they now have a faction armor paint bundle. We knew this was coming. We talked about it briefly in my video on the latest Creation Club release. The entire bundle with all 4 faction paint schemes is 300 credits. We apply the paint to our armor in exactly the same way that we did the other paint schemes. And these paint schemes cost the same materials to apply to armor depending on the type. Leather and oil for leather, steel and oil for combat and metal, and then lead and oil for synth. We'll start with the Brotherhood paint job first. Each type of armor is painted with a dark gray base, and they've been distressed. We see scratches on all of them, which is great. That's how it should be. The Brotherhood of Steel logo features prominently on the front of each suit, and we see a bunch of orange arrows pointing at something. Of note, on the metal suit of armor, we see these wolf logos with daggers. On the chest piece of the synth armor, we find the words Ad Victoriam scrawled on the bottom. We find the same words scrawled on the back of the metal suit. And interestingly, while the Brotherhood of Steel logo appears in orange on every suit, it only appears in the form of a flag on the back of the metal armor. We find it on the back collar. I really like the paint job. I think it looks handsome. I think it feels wastelandy. I only have 2 questions. I don't understand the wolf on the knees. Maybe I'm just ignorant about Fallout lore, but I'm not sure what that refers to. I don't recall an animal being associated with the Brotherhood of Steel, but I could just be ignorant about that. And then I wonder what all of these arrows are pointing to. I mean, yeah, they sure look tactical, but is there a reason for them? Some of the arrows point to the edge of the armor, some just appear to be pointing to rivets. Whatever their reason, they sure stand out orange on top of dark gray. It's a handsome paint scheme. Next is the Institute armor. This suit looks great. It has a simplistic color scheme. We have a dark orangish red highlight color on white. They used the orangish red on the knees and in various other places to just pop out, and then the major color is the white backdrop. The chest piece of each suit of armor has the Institute logo on the front, and we again see more of these tactical arrows just pointing in random locations. The suits look great on the back. The major detail we find here is on the back of the synth chest piece. Here we find the Institute logo and the text Advanced Systems. This chest piece also appears to have a serial number, BALE 426. It's a nice touch, and the only downside to this is that now every suit of synth armor you paint is going to have the same serial number. Not a big deal at all, but might get annoying for those trying to dress their settlers in Institute painted synth armor, for example. Every single one's going to have the same serial number. Still, it's a beautiful paint scheme. The wear and tear looks wonderful, and I've always loved the Institute colors. Next up is the Minuteman paint job, and this is my favorite so far, not just because I'm a huge Minuteman fan, as everyone knows, but look at the color they chose for the base. It's a really light blue-gray. It's a perfect color for the Minutemen, really making the suit of armor stand out. We have the Minuteman logo on the chest piece of each suit of armor, but on the metal and synth armor we get a special treat. The Minuteman logo and the text painted in red, "For the people, by the people. I love that. We see stars all over the place. One of my favorite details is the chest piece of the combat armor. You can see the brush strokes used to paint the chest piece the bluish-gray color. That is impressive. The back of each suit of armor for the Minuteman paint scheme is muted. It's just the solid blue color except for the synth piece. We do find the Minuteman logo there, and then we see stars around the legs and on the collars of some pieces. My only criticism is the old world flag that we find on the synth and combat armor. On the synth helmet, we find the old world flag on both sides, and then we find it again on the combat armor pauldrons. I talked a little bit about this when reviewing the Minuteman skin for weapons. I've never thought of the Minutemen as trying to restart old world America. I never imagined that they were even inspired by old world America. Instead, they were inspired by America's founders. The problem with using the old world flag is all of the baggage it carries with it. As we've come to learn about the old world from exploring ruins and reading terminals, there's not a whole lot to be proud of with Fallout's America. That, combined with how the Minutemen never used the old world flag in the base game, I think it's rather suspect that it's used so prominently here. But many will see that as just a minor quibble. It looks great. Wonderful work on the Minuteman skin. And the last one, of course, is the Railroad. Each suit of armor is painted in typical Railroad brown. I like the hue of the brown that they've used for the Railroad. And the chest of each piece is emblazoned with the Railroad's logo, this candle lantern icon. We see it on the chest piece of each suit, candles on the knees and shins of some of them, and the backs are just painted brown except for the back of the synth chest piece, which has more lanterns and candles. I'll repeat something I said in my review of the weapon skins, and that's that I don't really know if the candles here are a good fit for the Railroad. I mean, the whole point of the Railroad is not to stand out. Even the Railroad paint scheme for the T-51 power armor is solid black with a teeny tiny Railroad logo on the sternum of the chest piece. Easy to miss. That, I think, is going more in line with the theme of the Railroad. So for example, if I was creating this paint scheme, I'd remove all of the candles and the flashy bits, and instead simply have a small Railroad logo, or maybe have a Railroad rail sign somewhere on the chest piece, like the Ally sign, for example. This way the Railroad is still being secretive, using symbols that only they are supposed to understand, and yet we would still be able to broadcast our Railroad pride. But I still understand why these are so flashy. They gotta sell these suckers, and I know players are really going to enjoy them. Despite everything I've said, the quality is still really high, and they do look great. The final new release with the Creation Club today is the Nuka-Cola Quantum Pipboy paint job, and it's completely free for, I'm presuming, a limited time. To paint our Pipboy, we go to any armor bench just like usual. It only costs 1 oil to paint our Pipboy, and when we're done, we have a beautiful Nuka-Cola paint scheme. I'm really impressed with this paint scheme. It feels a lot like the Nuka-Cola Quantum XO1 paint scheme for the XO1 power armor. We have a royal blue mixing in with a dark midnight purple, and then a light blue, like a robin's egg blue, as a base coat. I'll show you what it looks like in third person. I got criticized for not doing that in my last video because there are some other things on here. On the back, which we can't see when holding it up in front of our face, we find more detail. There's a picture of Saturn with some nearby stars on the very back, and then on the holotape eject tray, we find a logo, Nuka-Cola Quantum. My favorite thing about this is that the text Nuka-Cola Quantum is in the exact same colors and uses the same font as the Nuka-Cola Quantum bottle label. It would have been easy to use an off-brand font here, and that would have bothered me. I'm so glad they didn't do that. This paint job is much better, in my opinion, than the regular Nuka-Cola one we were presented with last time. That paint job was easily confused as a communist Chinese paint scheme, because from the front we don't find any indication that this is a Nuka-Cola paint scheme. It's just red with 3 stars. And that's very similar to the communist Chinese flag. It's only after tipping it that we get an indication that there's a Nuka-Cola logo there, and then popping into the third person, on the very back we finally see the Nuka Girl, there she is, and the Nuka-Cola logo on the holotape eject tray. So I'm not terribly fond of that paint scheme, but I love the Quantum one. It's so much better. And that's it for this latest update to the Creation Club. What are your thoughts on the faction paint schemes for the armor? I, for one, am really excited about the Minuteman one. I can see myself dressing my settlement guards in that armor. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish a new Fallout video 6 days a week on a wide range of topics spanning all of the games, so if you want to make sure you don't miss my next video, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop, folks. Show no mercy. We've got a portrait on the front with the quote, and this design comes with an alternative quote, Ad Victoriam. There's also a version with just the painting. My shirts come in a wide array of colors and in a variety of sizes. I've also got a bunch of other products, posters, pillows, mugs, stickers, and a bunch of other stuff, and a slew of other designs. If interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. I take Sundays off, which means I'm not going to have a video for you tomorrow. But never fear, we'll be back in the swing of things Tuesday morning with a brand new video. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you Tuesday morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.